Well, right here, the United States is lowest in numerous categories. We're lower than the world.
Lower? We're lower than the world? Really? You're lower than the world? That's... Dude, okay. I want a Trump supporter to come in here and tell me he's doing a great fucking job. Please. Please! President Trump exclusive interview with Axios on HBO. Number 2 on trending. So there you go. Also good material for future YouTube videos. All right, let's begin. Hopefully the audio is good. Let's begin. There I am. Hello.
Okay.
Okay.
Mr. President, thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
We appreciate you taking the time.
Good.
And we appreciate...
Good. I'm gonna turn it down a little bit more because, you know, my speaking is a lot more important than Trump speaking. So I just want to make sure that's understood in the stream.
Your commitment to answer our questions.
Sure.
Over the years, I've heard you talk about your adherence to a philosophy called positive thinking. This is the mantra that if you believe something, if you visualize...
By the way, I've never heard of Axios. I mean, I've heard of Axios, but I've never actually seen an interview, and I'm surprised this blew up that quick and that HBO owns it. This is just some of the ignorance I have about the world, but let's just continue. just a side note.
Then it will happen.
To an extent, I also think in terms of the downside.
Right.
I've been given a lot of credit for positive thinking, but I also think about downside, because only a fool doesn't.
To what extent...
That's actually a good, that's actually not a bad Trump quote.
Positive thinking mindset is suitable to handling the worst pandemic?
You have to have a positive outlook, otherwise you would have nothing without a positive outlook. I think we've done an incredible job between the ventilators and stopping...
Everything was going great until you said everything's going great.
Putting the ban on China, which frankly nobody wanted me to do, practically nobody, because it was very early in January. Then putting the ban on Europe, not an easy thing to do. When you put a ban on Europe, that's a big thing. We would have probably lost hundreds of thousands of lives more had I not done that.
No, if you actually listened to Europe, if you actually followed Europe's lead and Asia's lead, you would have lost way less people. But because you're so self-ignorant, I guess it's not really a word, because you're so ignorant and delusional, you followed your own mind, which led to the deaths of hundreds of thousands. So, you know, I don't know.
That, and all of the experts, every one of them, not one of them wanted to do it. They thought it was too severe. 3 months later, they're all saying, I'm glad you did it.
The criticism of you that is most prominent is about the communication. It's the public health experts saying that it needs to be based in reality. Mm-hmm. And they're saying that the wishful thinking and the salesmanship is just not suitable at a time when a pandemic has killed 140.
Hold on, you can still be selling. You can still be using the salesmanship of it to spread the message of quarantining. He can still use that incredible ability that he sadly has. That good ability of being a good seller. Right? Okay. He could use that ability to influence his supporters to take the pandemic seriously. But he did the exact opposite for bullshit reasons.
5,000 Americans.
That only hurts him politically and the country economically.
That people need to hear positive thinking, but you know, for the past 5 months, it's been the virus is totally under control, and the cases have been going up and the deaths have been going up.
Look.
But you've been saying it's under control.
Nobody knew what this thing was all about. This has never happened before.
Yes, well,
1917, but it was a totally different. It was a flu in that case, okay? But other than 1917, there's never been anything like this. And by the way, if you watch the fake news on television, they don't even talk about it.
He's the fake news. He's the fake news.
188 other countries right now that are suffering, some proportionately far greater than we are. Okay, as bad as
no. No country is suffering more than America. That is factually incorrect. If you group them together, I'm pretty sure America would still beat them out in terms of infection numbers. I know the rate isn't the highest. But it's like third highest. And for an industrial country, it's like on the top. So, come on, Doug. Come on, my man.
Some proportionately greater than we are. Right now, Spain is having a big spike. There are tremendous
No, a big
problems in
spike.
the
It's not a
world.
big spike. It's
You
literally
look at
like
Moscow. Look at
dozens
what's
of
going on
cases.
with Moscow. Look at Brazil. Look at these countries.
Whoa, Brazil is following your ideas. Bolsonaro is literally following your like step of and your messaging of like this isn't happening, and you're calling them like a shitty situation in terms of COVID, and for some reason he's not self-reflective about it at all. Come on. I've been saying this over and over again. He could have used this pandemic to his own advantage. And he didn't. He did it he just totally whiffed it. He completely whiffed it. Now Biden is ahead in the polls by doing nothing. On the verge that he did nothing. He's been sitting in his basement, you know, says like one thing once in a while, but somehow that is still significantly better than what Trump's been doing. Oh my God. He's totally politically incompetent. I don't know how people can still support him. It blows my mind.
What's going on? This was sent to us by China, one way or the other, and we're never going to forget it. Believe me, we're never going to forget it. And we were beating China at every single...
The fact that China is... Yes, the virus started in China, and yes, they technically, quote-unquote, sent it inadvertently with people moving. But they took control of it. They took it seriously. They actually clamped down on the population. They're like, hey, you're not spreading this any further. America did literally the exact opposite. It kind of did in the beginning, and I was praising Trump at the beginning when he was handling the pandemic. He was taking it seriously. To be fair, it was like bi-weekly he was taking it seriously. 1 week it was serious. The other week it was like, we gotta open everything up. But at least China took it seriously for like 2 months straight, right? And after that, their cases were minimal. America took it serious for 2.5 weeks, and then they said, fuck it. And some states didn't even take it seriously. Like Florida and Arizona. I don't know. Anyways, back to Trump.
Point. We were beating them on trade. We were making progress like nobody's ever made progress. They had, before the pandemic, they had the worst year, Jonathan, that they've had in 67 years. You know that with the...
That is true. They did have a pretty bad economic year in China. To be fair, a lot of it has to do with Xi Jinping. The sanctions also didn't help with Trump. So it technically worked to a certain degree, but there's better ways of handling China's exploitative economic behaviors than just straight up sanctions.
Tariffs and everything else I did, we were taking in billions of dollars. I was giving some of it to the farmers. The farmers were doing well.
The farmers are getting fucking enough.
They were targeting the farmers. I was targeting China. We were doing good. Then all of a sudden the game changed, and I had to close it down. I closed down the greatest economy ever in history. And then I closed it down, and now we're opening it. And we say, by the way, by closing it down,
To be fair, he never closed it down.
we saved millions of lives. If we
You did not save... Oh my God, you did not save millions of lives.
If we would have gone herd, we would have lost.
In fact, if every governor listened to you, more people would have died.
We're at 140,000 people.
The fact that he was pressured to take an action...
Millions of people.
Oh my God, he's so wrong on this.
Those people that really understand it, they really understand
They really understand
it's
it?
incredible the job that we've done.
No.
Banning China from coming in.
But it was already in here by
What's
the time.
that?
It was already here. Like by the time you banned China, it came in
there,
through
but
you.
nobody knew the extent. Nobody knew how contagious.
That's a fair point.
The question is, Mr. President,
Maybe China knew.
by June, we knew things were
Yeah.
bad. And, you know, the last time I was with you was the day before your Tulsa rally in the Oval. And, you know, you were saying big, huge crowd, it was indoors.
By the way,
these people, they
it
listen to
wasn't
you.
big- excuse me, John.
Yeah.
We had a 19,000 seat stadium. First of all, we had 12.
And Herman Cain died.
6,000, which you reported, other people reported. But you couldn't even get in. It was like an armed camp.
Why would you
because
have
they
wanted
had
that?
Yeah, why would you want
120
that?
Black Lives Matter people.
I understand, but why
there.
would you have wanted a
And
huge
Tulsa,
crowd?
excuse me, wait. And Tulsa, well, because that area was a very good area at the time. It was a
By the way, very bad timing for that rally. It was in Tulsa, Oklahoma on Juneteenth, which is a very racially sensitive time. You know, it's when the slaves found out they were kind of freed in Texas. And then Tulsa, known for the massacre, the Tulsa massacre, back in the 1920s, 1910s or something. Big race riot, where a bunch of African Americans were killed, and he did it on the same day as the Juneteenth in Tulsa. Just a side note. Just a side note.
an area that was
Cases
pretty
were
much
stopped.
over. After a month later, it started going up. That's a month later. But Tulsa was a very good. Oklahoma was doing very well as a state. It was almost free. It spiked a month later, month and a half, 2 months later, but it was a good area. We had a tremendous crowd. We had tremendous response. You couldn't even, it was like an armed camp. You couldn't even
That's
get
not
through.
good.
You couldn't get anybody
He's
in.
he's praising the crowd sizes during a pandemic. Why? Who? Ugh. Why not? Why wouldn't he just do like an online rally or something? Like a video type of situation. He's had a show before. He knows how to produce quality content. I hate to say it, quality content. He knows how to produce to a certain degree. Why couldn't he do that? Instead, he had to endanger people's lives, including Herman Cain, who is dead. Sorry that he's dead, but you know he kind of had it coming.
12,000 people. It was incorrectly reported. The other thing we had that nobody wants to talk about, so Fox broadcast it. It was the highest rating in the history of Fox.
Why is he
television.
talking about ratings? That's not
It was
important.
the highest rating.
Mr.
My
President.
speech, well, wait a minute, you're saying something.
Yeah.
That speech was the highest rated speech in the history of Fox Television on Saturday night. And nobody says that.
I think you're misunderstanding me. I'm criticizing your ability to draw a crowd. Are you
Well,
kidding me?
I'm
I've
just
covered you
saying
for 5
this.
years. You draw massive
I'm just
crowds, you
saying
get huge
this.
ratings. I'm asking about the
At
public
the time,
health.
and I canceled another one. I had to cancel it. We were
Right.
going to have a great crowd in
What
New
goes through
Hampshire,
his
and I
mind
canceled
when
it
they
for
ask him
the
this
same
Here's the
question?
question. You know, I've covered you for a long time. I've gone to your rallies. I've talked to your people. They love you. They listen to you. They listen to every word you say. They hang on your every word. They don't listen to me or the media or Fauci. They think we're fake news. They want to get their advice
Right.
from you.
Sadly.
And so when they hear you say everything's under control, don't worry about wearing masks, I mean, these are people, many of them are older people,
What's
Mr.
your
President.
definition of control? Yeah. Under the
It's giving them a
What's your
false impression.
definition of
I think
control?
it's under control.
It's not under control. What?
They are dying. That's true. And it is what it is.
It is
But that
what it
doesn't
is.
mean we aren't doing everything we
You're
can.
not doing everything. You can't just say people are dying. It is what it is. You're not. Oh my God, he took terrible precautions. This could have been his electoral winning moment. I always go back to this point because it's politically very interesting to be a political science major, right? He could have grabbed this thing, as he likes to say, by the pussy and destroyed Biden. But instead, he dropped it and ran for the hills, pretended it didn't exist, put his head in the sand, and said everybody else is fake news, all right? Oh, my God. Again, I want to go back to this point. The fact that people still supports him is a great case why democracy is failing.
It's under control as much as you can control it. This is a horrible plague that beset us.
You really think this is as much as we can control?
Well,
1,000
I'll
deaths.
tell
That's a
you,
good
I'd
question.
like to know if somebody, first of all, we have done a great job.
He's distracting from the question.
They didn't do their job. Many of them didn't, and some of them did.
No. Wait. Did he just mention the governors? He just mentioned the governors that. Which governors do you think he's gonna say that we're not doing a good job? Which governors do you think in his mind did a poor job? Do you think it's all the ones in the Democratic states that took this seriously? Do you think those are the ones he's gonna say did a bad job? Yes. And then he's gonna praise like Florida, Texas, Mississippi, those governors, and say they did a wonderful job. They did a wonderful job. No. Oh, jeez.
We'll sit down. We'll talk about the successful ones, the good ones. Look at that smile. The good ones and the bad. We had good and bad.
Look at this
And we had a lot in the middle. But we had some incredible governors. I could tell you right now who the great ones
All right,
are.
let's hear it. What are the great governors?
Not so great.
Let's hear them.
But the governors do it. We gave them massive amounts of material.
The governors did do a good job, though.
changed your message
A good amount of them
in
did.
terms of you cancelled the Jacksonville convention, you said wear a mask, you're saying, you know, that it's going to get worse before it gets better. It's not something you like to say. I know you said that. The
By
big
way,
question...
not get worse like the original flow. You understand that. But
Well, I hope
it will
not.
get
It's
worse.
1,000.
Now, if you look, Arizona's going down.
If I can just finish my question.
Texas is going down and Florida's going down.
No,
The
it's
question is, are you going to, even some of your own aides wonder whether you would stick to that message until election day, whether in a week or two you won't say, right, we've got to reopen again, we can't do this stuff anymore, that you'll get bored of talking about the virus and go back to that sort of
I never get
cheerleading.
bored. I never get bored of talking.
I never get
about this.
bored.
It's too big a thing.
Oh, he does
Again,
get bored of it.
So will you stick to that
could've been
message?
stopped by China.
In fact, he was trying to kind of distract it with the TikTok ban. Did you guys notice that, by the way? Pandemic's out of control, and all of a sudden he's we should ban TikTok. Yeah, that's definitely not a ploy to distract people.
It should have been stopped by China, and it wasn't.
But now it's here.
We
and
have
you're the
it
president.
here.
Yeah.
And I
Good
think
question.
You're
I'm
the
very
leader.
consistent. No, this is a very serious thing. Do you think we have 140,000 people at this moment? This is a very,
But he's not
very
taking it
serious
seriously.
situation. And what you have to do is handle it the best it can be handled. And again, I'm working with the governors. I got them tremendous amounts of equipment that they would have never gotten. Jonathan, they wouldn't have equipment now if I didn't get it.
When can you commit, by what date, that every American will have access to the same day testing that you get here in the White House?
Well, we have great testing. We're doing, and
By
many
what
other
date?
people do. Let me explain the testing. We have tested more people than any other country, than all of Europe put together times 2. We have tested more people than anybody
That's
ever
debatable.
thought of. India has 1.4 billion people. They've done 11 million tests. We've done 55.
Yeah, let's
close to
equate ourselves
60
to
million
India.
tests. And, you know, there are those that say, you can test too much. You do know that.
You can't. What do you mean? What test too
Read the
much?
manuals, read the books.
Read the manuals. Read the manuals. They've been saying you can test too much. Who's been saying that? Oh, you can read the manuals, read the books. What? What does that even mean? You can read the manuals, read the books. Is there a pandemic manual I haven't heard of? What books is he reading?
Books.
What books?
What testing?
What books? I love that. I love this interviewer.
It shows cases. It shows where there may be cases. Other countries test. You know when they test? They test when somebody's sick. That's when they test. And I'm not saying they're right or wrong. Nobody's done it like we've done it. We've gotten absolutely no credit for it. But we've come up with so many different tests. The only thing that we have now is some people have to wait longer than we'd like them to.
It's a big problem.
We want to have a
That's a big
5-minute to
problem.
15-minute
I love it.
test.
When do you
We
think
have, and like many others,
every
from what I
American-
understand, we're close to 50% where it's point-to-point test. We are making thousands.
It doesn't matter if you can test everybody, right? If you're not taking precautions to keep other people from not getting infected, you can you can give everybody in America, you can give 300 million tests to every person in America. Fuck it, make it 2 tests a person, 600 million whatever tests, 700 million with 350 million people, whatever. You know what I'm talking about. You can give everybody 2 tests. As long as they're not taking precautionary measures to prevent this from spreading, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, and that's what he's doing. He's saying, let everybody open back up, risk their lives. He also, this is the biggest also stupid fucking point that Republicans do. It's like, oh, all we need to do is open up the economy. No one's gonna go fucking shopping right now. No one's gonna go shopping. Most places aren't hiring. Where are they imagining this like influx of money is gonna come in if everybody just all of a sudden went back to work? That's not gonna happen. This is not gonna be a V-shaped recovery. This is gonna be a slow recovery, and he's only prolonging this. Sorry.
Of instruments,
Taking a water break.
tests right now, tens of thousands that can be distributed to various parts of the country. But you have to understand, and we've even sent some of them to other countries where they had a big problem. Jonathan, almost 50%, in fact, I think the number might be over, is immediate testing. The other's tough. You take a test, you have to send it to a laboratory. Let's say that takes a day. Let's say it's a day.
It's difficult.
You know, so it's 3 or 4 or 5 days. There's nothing you do about it.
But when do you think we'll have it for
I
everyone?
think that you
What
will
day?
have that relatively soon. I mean, again,
What does that mean?
you
Relatively
already
soon.
have
Again,
it.
nebulous terms.
I would much rather get back to you because I don't
Okay.
want to have you
That's
write
fine.
in 1 month.
That's
I
fine.
didn't make it. I missed it by
Yeah,
a
yeah,
day,
I
and
get
it's
it.
a headline.
Mr. President, I want to talk about the federal intervention.
Excuse me,
Yeah.
one thing I would say about
Yeah.
testing. Because we test so much, we show cases.
No,
So
that's
we
not
show
what.
many,
No. People are dying. You can say, yeah, the cases are increasing. Oh, because we're testing so much, we're doing such a good job with testing. That's the matter. The deaths are still way higher. The deaths are what matters here. The deaths. Oh my God, this man blows my mind. He's focusing on the testing when that's not even an important thing to a certain degree. It's obviously it's important, but in the context of America. We're way past worrying about testing. We're worrying about bringing down the deaths at this point. And he's not worried about that. Doesn't seem like he is. If he was, he would take drastic measures, which again, he is not. And the number of deaths is going up.
Also, swine flu, they were hollering at Obama being and getting off at 12,000 for a year. 12,000 deaths in a year, yet we're 6 months in. 150-something thousand deaths, and
Right, and Obama's response, and Obama's response to the swine flu was actually better. He funded the CDC a lot after that, and then Trump at the beginning, actually mid-pandemic, he got funding to the CDC.
Yeah, but just like
What?
12,000 deaths for 1 year compared.
Well, also the virus was different. You can't. Let's be honest. You can't equate that virus to.
I'm just saying.
I mean, yeah, but that's the thing. You're just saying.
At Obama telling
Right.
him to get off, get impeached. Why are they not having the same energy for Trump? That's what I think.
Well, because they're
Hypocrisy.
voting for parties. Yeah.
The
All right.
hypocrisy.
There we go. Yeah. Yeah. We all know Republicans are Hippocratic. So are Democrats.
many cases. We show tremendous number of. I know you're smiling when I say that,
No,
but
but-
I know you're smart.
I've heard you say this,
other
but
countries don't test like we do, so they don't show cases.
just a couple of points on that. I wasn't going to continue on the testing, but you said it. So we're testing so much because it's spread so far in America.
We're
And
testing
when you
so much because we had the ability to test.
No.
Because we came up with tests.
South Korea-
Jonathan, we didn't even have a test. When I took over, we didn't even have a test.
The patience
Now,
on this
why
reporter
would you have a
there
test?
is mind-blowing.
no test
The virus
for
didn't
this-
exist. How would you have a
Excuse me, I was
test?
going to say,
Okay.
there was no test for this new. We didn't have a test because there was no test.
course.
In a very short order, we got one test, we got another test.
It was broken, the first
Many
one.
of those tests are now obsolete because we've, it's called science, and all
It's
of a
called
sudden
science!
something's better. But because
Well, if
we
you like
tested
science, you should probably
so many
listen to it,
people,
Trump.
55, 60 million people very soon. We get cases. You test, some kid has even just a little runny nose, it's a case. And then you report many cases. So we look like we have more cases than massive countries like China, which, by the way, doesn't report, as you know.
Well, I don't put any stock in China's figures.
The point is,
Right.
Yeah.
the point is, because we are so much better at testing than any other country
No,
in the
that's
world,
not-
we show more cases.
No, that's not why you show more cases.
figure
Because
out-
more people are getting infected.
And
Yeah,
death is going
exactly.
up.
Death.
That's
Good point
1,000
there.
a day.
If you look at death.
Yeah, it's going
let's
up
look.
again.
Let's look.
Daily death.
Take a look at some of these charts.
I'd love to.
Take a look.
Let's look.
And if you look at death,
Yeah. It's started to go up
here's
again.
one. Well, right here, the United States is lowest in numerous categories. We're lower than the world.
Lower than
Lower? We're lower than the world? Really? You're lower than the world? That's dude. Okay, I want a Trump supporter to come in here and tell me he's doing a great fucking job. Please, please. I don't know if you're watching this on YouTube or if you're in stream chat right now. Please tell me how he's doing a great job regarding this. Please, because I'm gonna destroy the fuck out of you.
In what? In what?
Take a look. Right here. Here's case death.
Oh, you're doing death as a proportion of cases. I'm talking about death as a proportion of population. That's where the US is really bad.
Well,
Much worse than South Korea, Germany, etc.
you can't do that.
Yes, you can!
have
What?
to go by-
What kind of selective data is this? Deaths proportion to cases. Well, how is that a fair rating, a measurement of how well you're handling the pandemic? You should do it, like he said, ratio to deaths to population. Like, oh, jeez. Oh, but again, to a regular, uneducated, uninformed voter, Trump sounds like a genius. Oh, the fake news are trying to spread it. He's got numbers right here telling him one thing, and the fake news is telling him the other. Like, come on. Ah, jeez. All right. Rokashy, calm down. But I can't, because this is too good. This is too juicy. The stupidity here is thick.
You have to go by where, look, here is the United States. You have to go by the cases. The cases.
Why not as a proportion of
When we have
population?
somebody, what is,
What's up?
They keep liking the comment where I made a mistake. I'm like, stop liking it.
Gotcha. Now that's what happens with people with Twitter. They like different comments. All right, baby, I am in the middle of this.
I wasn't talking to you.
Well, you say it out loud. All right, and my mic picks it up, so I gotta address it, because then it's awkward.
says is when you have somebody.
What? Okay. There's probably food downstairs.
That has where there's a case.
Oh, okay.
The people that live from those cases.
It's surely a relevant statistic to say if the US has X population and X percentage of death of that population versus South Korea.
You have to go by the cases.
Well,
No,
look
you
at
don't have
South
to go by
Korea,
the
for example.
cases.
51 million population, 300 deaths. It's like, it's
You
crazy
don't
compared to
know
other-
that.
I do. It's
You don't know that.
You think they're faking their statistics, South Korea?
I
An
won't get
advanced
into
country?
that because they have a very good relationship
Yeah.
with the country, but you don't know that. And they have spikes. Look, here's
Germany
one.
low,
Here's
9,000.
one. Here's one right here. United States. You take
Anyway.
the number of cases.
Okay.
Now look, we're last, meaning we're first.
Last, I don't know
We
what
have
was first. Is it what?
Look, again, there's cases.
I love this interview. I've never seen an exchange of information like this. The Chris Wallace interview had also some information exchange and stats, and we got to do a lot more of this. We gotta check every politician like this, and we gotta embarrass every single one that lies. I love it.
And we have cases because of the testing.
1,000 Americans are dying a day, but I understand on cases it's different.
No, but you're not reporting it correctly, Jonathan.
I think I am.
If you take a look at this other chart,
If you take a look at it,
this is
what?
our testing, I believe. This is the testing, yeah.
Doesn't matter. You have the most deaths. You fucking retard.
Get
Ah.
credit for that, and because we do more tests, we have more cases. In other words, we test more. We have. Now take a look. The top one.
Now take
That's
a
a
look.
good thing, not a bad thing. The top, Jonathan.
If hospital rates were going down and deaths were going down,
Yeah.
I'd say terrific.
Right.
You deserve to be praised for
Well,
testing,
don't
but they're
even-
all going
you know,
up.
they very rarely talk.
60,000 Americans are in hospital.
If you watch the
1,000
news or
dying a
read the
day.
papers, they usually talk about new cases, new cases, new cases.
I'm talking about death.
Well, you look at
going
death.
up.
Death is way down from.
No,
where
it's
it
not.
was.
It's up.
In a day, it was 2,500.
It is. Hold on. Deaths. That is that is a complete fallacy that Trump just said. Oh my God. Number of deaths. Number of COVID. Oh my God. Why can't I spell it? COVID. Why can't I spell? COVID deaths chart in U.S. Oh my God. Oh, look at this. Look at this. Look at these deaths. Look at these deaths. Oh, it's this. Are we going back up? Are we going back up? Oh my God, we're going back up. Oh no. Oh, what's going on? And what about cases? What about cases? Oh, let's bring it up. Number of cases. COVID cases chart in U.S. Oh, okay. I gotta give me a chart here. Cases in the U.S. CDC. Oh wait, CDC stopped tracking because of Trump. Is there a chart? Oh, look at this. Oh my God, we're dropping. Oh no. Oh, it's going down, guys. Oh my God, look at April. The one good thing I would say is the deaths proportionally to infections have gone down. The rate of deaths has gone down. Okay? Deaths are still climbing, though. Deaths are still climbing. The infection rate is off the fucking chart. But this is also to do with testing. Trump is right to a certain degree. Trump is correct. Also, we have better treatment to a certain degree. But look at this. This is insane. Why? Why open it? Why not just clamp down for 2 weeks and good? Just clamp down. Like every other European country and Asian country. Just take this seriously for a month. And you can have your reopening. Oh my God, look at this. Whew.
500 now. It's going
Sad,
down.
low energy.
Excuse me.
Low energy
Where it
president.
was is much higher than where it is right now.
It went down and it went up
spiked,
again.
But now it's going down again. It's going
going up.
down in Arizona. It's going down in Florida.
Nationally,
It's going down in Texas. Take a look at this. These are the tests.
It's going down in Florida?
Yeah, it leveled out and it's going down. That's my report as of yesterday.
Anyway, Mr. President, if I could change the subject.
It is going down in Arizona.
Arizona it
going
is.
down in
Arizona
Texas.
it is. Texas
And it
has big
spiked,
problems.
And it spiked and it's now going down in Florida. It's evened out in
I'm honestly surprised Trump is staying with this interview. I feel like at this point he would have just walked out. But he's staying with it. That's one thing I will commend him for, is to staying in this
going down in Florida.
I'll have to see those.
interview.
But you have to look at this. This is the number of tests compared to
I
the
don't
rest
deny
of
your
the world.
figures. You've done more tests by far than the rest of
Right.
them. I don't
And
deny
because
that.
we've done more tests, we have more cases.
You
You
have
can take
more
it back.
infections.
Check it out. at
Mr.
your-
President, different subject. It's been widely reported
There you go.
the US has
Check it out.
intelligence indicating that Russia paid bounties or offered to pay bounties to Taliban fighters to kill American
That's awful.
soldiers.
And I totally
You had
believe
a
it.
phone call with Vladimir Putin on July 23rd. Did you bring up this issue?
No, that was a phone call to discuss other things, and frankly, that's an issue that many people said was fake news.
Who said
That
it was
not fake
false.
news.
I think a lot of people, if you look at some of the wonderful folks from the Bush administration, some of them, not any friends of mine, were saying that it's a fake issue. But a lot of people said it's a fake issue.
There was
Look,
dispute
we had a
within the
call,
intelligence.
talking about nuclear proliferation, which is a very big subject, where they would
Okay,
like
he's
to do
diverting.
something, and so would I.
Smart to a certain
Discuss those
degree.
things. We did
I
not discuss that, no.
I hate when he does it, but he diverts it.
Discuss it with them, no. I would. I'd have no problem with it.
But you don't believe the
it
intelligence.
never
It's because you
got
don't believe the intelligence. That's why.
Everything, it's interesting. Nobody.
He's
ever
very
brings up
picky with
China.
what he
Russia,
believes in
Russia,
coming from the
Russia.
intelligence and what he
If we
doesn't.
can do something with Russia in terms of nuclear proliferation,
Politically
it's a very
advantageous,
big problem.
realistically
Bigger problem than
stupid.
Global warming, a much bigger problem than global warming in terms of the real world. That would be a great thing. It never reached my desk. You know why? Because they didn't think it was intelligence. They didn't think it was real.
It was in
They
your
didn't
written
think-
brief, though,
They
apparently.
didn't think it was worthy of. I wouldn't mind if it reached my desk. I would have done something about
The one thing I will say about this is bringing this up. I'm kind of torn about this because you got to consider real politique, right? So you got to consider how would a country react to that measure, like how Russia would react, and what would Trump's options be regarding this measure? Supposedly, if I'm understanding this correctly, it was only certain officials in the Russian military and secret service, not the KGB, the FSB, that did this, and it's kind of hard to explain. There's a hierarchical dynamic there that everyone's kind of vying for power and good graces in Putin, and how I understand it, I may be wrong on this, is that one of the guys responsible for setting the bounties was trying to get into the good graces of Putin, and well, sadly it leaked, and I don't know if he's gonna get punished for it. Probably not. But it just looks bad for Russia overall. Like no country is gonna view this favorably. And again, how would America respond? They could sanction those couple individuals associated with this, and I'm assuming the intelligence would know who those individuals are. But I mean, it's real politique. I mean, to a certain degree, every country does this. America does it in different ways. We've definitely sent weapons and funded. I don't know if we set bounties. If we've gotten that specific. Or like, if you kill this many Russians, we'll pay you. No, I don't think we've done that. But shady things America has done for sure, and still does. But that's just the nature of foreign policy and world powers. Now, I don't know what the best way to handle this, but yeah, that's my 2 cents. I'm just torn. I mean, I'm welcome to people's inputs.
About it. It never reached my desk because
Do you read your written brief?
I do. I
you?
read a lot.
Really?
You know, I read a lot.
read a
They
lot.
like to say I don't read. I read a lot.
Your daily
I
intelligence
comprehend
brief?
extraordinarily well, probably better than anybody that you've interviewed in a long time. I read a lot. I spend a lot of time with at meetings. Usually it's once a
I love the
day,
library. Go there every day.
at least 2 or 3 times a week intelligence.
'Cause this was
things,
apparently
talking
in your
about
brief.
India, talking about
Right.
with the problems with China, talking about so many different elements of the world.
Mm-hmm.
The world is a very angry place. If you
That is
look all
true.
over
That
the
is
world,
true. I agree with Trump on this one.
I see 22 soldiers were killed in India with China fighting over.
Oh yeah, that's a
border.
fucking
It's been
another
raging for
situation.
many decades, and they've been fighting and back and forth. I have so many briefings on so many different countries, but this one didn't reach my desk.
The reason I say this is even if you don't believe this particular piece of intelligence, and there is dispute, no doubt there is dispute in the intelligence community about it, your former, John Nicholson, former head of forces in Afghanistan, said, and this is when he was working for you, that Russia is supplying weapons to the Taliban. Isn't
America's
that
done
enough
that.
to challenge Putin over the killings of
Well, we
US
supplied
soldiers?
What?
weapons when they were
Right,
fighting
exactly.
Russia,
Good point.
too. You know, when we were.
I mean, as much as I hate agreeing with Trump, I'm agreeing with Trump on this one.
Well, it's a different. I'm just saying. Yeah.
That's what I'm. Yeah, this is real pop. This is what foreign policy is when it comes between superpowers. I hate it when this is what I don't like about lefties, and whatever, far right is as well to a certain degree. This is the one thing me and centrists kind of agree on is foreign policy, and you can't. There's gonna be shady things going on, and for people to say, oh, we gotta be noble and we gotta do this, do that. Yeah, you can be noble, and you should put on the face of nobility and try to be as noble as possible. But when you're dealing with state actors such as Russia and China, certain boundaries are gonna be crossed, certain rules are gonna be broken. That is the nature of the beast. Funding proxy wars, I'm not for it. I'm not for those. But letting regions go willy-nilly, especially after we destroy them, this is one thing I'm gonna get a lot of hate for. I did not support pulling troops out of Afghanistan and Iraq. All right, this is one thing that America used to do right and now just dropped the ball completely. Okay, Germany, South Korea, Japan. We are still in there. World War II ended, what, 80 years, 70 years ago, 80 years ago, something like that? I'm bad at math. There are still troops there. We still have American presence there, keeping the peace or whatever. Well, now we're using them as military bases, right? If you go in, invade a country, destroy the infrastructure and everything, you need to have a military force in there until that country is rebuilt and tip-top shape. You can't go in there, destroy the country, and then 10 years later dip out. What do you think is gonna happen? What do you... oh my God. This is why... And again, I'm gonna get a bunch of hate from lefties and a bunch of hate from righties. You need to stay in... If a big superpower invades a country and destroys the fucking infrastructure of it, they need to stay in it and rebuild it completely to ideally better than it was before. So then the population isn't outraged and infighting once you leave. Because then that destroys all the, I don't want to say benefit that came from the invasion. That's a really controversial term, but there's no other term I could use. That's the best way to handle foreign occupation. I'm going to use that word, foreign occupation. It is a foreign occupation. America did foreign occupation, but it did it poorly. All right? They should have treated Afghanistan and Iraq like they treated Japan and Germany and South Korea by still having troops there. Yes, American troops are going to die, of course. But If you're a terrible politician like George Bush and decide to invade Saddam Hussein and Iraq based on baseless claims, those are the consequences the country has to live with. You can't just abandon that country now to a power vacuum and see, oh, mission accomplished. No. This is delusional. And for lefties and righties who say, oh, we got to leave those countries be, no. You can't. You screw them up, you got to fix them. America's the one that destroyed those countries. It should be the one that fixes them. All right? All right. Point made. Boom.
But does that, how does that
I'm just
affect?
saying we did that too.
But how does that?
I don't know. I didn't ask Nicholson about that. He was there for a long time. Didn't have great success because he was there before me, and then ultimately I made a change.
But you surely heard that, right? I mean, it's well known in the intelligence community that they're arming the Taliban, Russia.
I don't know. When you say arming, is
Supplying
the Taliban
weapons.
paying or they?
Russia is supplying weapons and money to the Taliban.
I have heard that.
He's just,
But
Trump's just an
never
idiot,
again.
and he's handling the
It's
question
never
really
reached
wrong.
My desk.
I mean, he said it on.
It
the
has
record.
reached his desk. He's lying at
And
this
Russia
point.
doesn't want anything to
Or
do with
just
Afghanistan.
not remembering
Let me just
anything.
tell you about Russia. Russia used to be a thing called the Soviet Union.
Okay.
Because of Afghanistan, they went bankrupt. They became Russia.
That was a
just so you
part of it. That wasn't the
understand,
main
okay?
reason, but it was a part of
The
it.
last thing that Russia wants to do is get too much involved with Afghanistan. They tried that once. It didn't work out too well.
Last question on this subject.
And by the way, we're largely out of Afghanistan, as you probably know.
Well,
Which is, again,
wanted to ask you about
my
that.
last point is bad
The
reason.
US
Bad
troop
point.
level in Afghanistan right now is roughly the same as it was when
No,
you.
you're wrong. No.
Mr. President, I'm sorry. We have to do.
Okay, are you ready?
No, no. I
We'll be down in a very short period.
Okay, you ready for this one? I'm gonna drop a bomb on
We'll be
you.
down in a very short period of time to 8,000. Then we're going to be down to 4,000. We're negotiating right now. We've been there for 19 years.
I know.
19 years.
But if you just let me finish my
We'll be
question.
getting out.
I understand. Look,
Also, it's a half-ass attempt at being there for 19 years. You can't have a force of, 9,000 troops there and hopefully can keep the peace in a giant country and rugged terrain country like Afghanistan. You need a lot more troops, which, again, is very expensive and very costly to American families and in terms of lives and finances, okay? But, if terrible leadership brings you into a war and destroys a country, you better stay there until that country is fixed. Capiche? Capiche. Good.
when you came in, it was 8,800. You boosted to 14,000, and now you're back down to 8,500.
We're now.
My question
we'll
to
be
you-
at 4,000. I'll give
When?
you the exact. Very
Give you
soon.
the exact
Very
numbers.
soon.
What will
Exact
be the
date,
number
I'll give
very
you.
soon? 4,000?
Very soon, yeah.
Like
very
how
soon.
soon?
I don't want to tell you that. I don't want to tell you.
It's big
that.
news.
What is that? That is
going down to
big
4,000,
news.
isn't it?
No, I've always said.
Well, what about
we're
what
gonna
about
get-
election day?
We will get largely out.
On election day, how many American troops will be in Afghanistan?
Probably anywhere from 4,000 to 5,000.
That's almost as many as when you came into office.
No, it's not.
8,000
We had
came
much
in.
more. We had a lot of people over there too.
8,800.
A lot of people. And we did a good job. We wiped out ISIS.
Have you
Just
thought
do
about
something.
going
You
down
didn't
to
wipe out,
6,000?
okay.
You don't
Didn't wipe out ISIS.
We took out in Syria, we took out ISIS. We 100% of the caliphate. When I took over Obama, it was totally rampant.
Yeah,
ISIS
but it was
all
still
over.
going down when
We
Obama
took
was
them
still in
out.
office.
We captured them, we killed them. 100%.
This,
not
by the
90.
way, this goes back to my point. This is what happens when you pull out without having proper infrastructure built and proper political systems built and proper safeguards in place. You can't pull out like that quickly. You can't do that. But American leadership does, for some reason, just does not remember that, okay? And to be fair, it's politically advantageous to pull out troops. This is why it goes back to my original point of democracy being flawed because most people, most individual voters, don't understand foreign policy. So they shouldn't be trusted to pick a leader who will then enforce their social policy or their foreign policy and social policy too. You need This is again, I hate to say it, this is where the neocons are right. The problem is the neocons got us into this war. That's also a big problem. Okay? Very big problem. All right, my point is made about this.
I wanted to get out at 99.
Right.
Everyone said, "Oh, please, would you stay?" I stayed. 99% was good, but 100% of the caliphate. We took out Soleimani. We took out Al-Baghdadi. We took out people that nobody thought possible.
Oh, good.
Al-Baghdadi was the biggest terrorist of them all. They couldn't find him. I took him out. Soleimani, even bigger. I took him out. I've done things that no other president.
Well, Obama technically took out Osama bin Laden.
They should have never been in the Middle East. The decision to go to the Middle East and get into the Middle East was the single biggest mistake.
That is correct. I agree with that. I agree with that. But once you're in, you got to stay in there until it's fixed.
You told Fox News recently that you couldn't say whether you'd accept the results of the 2020 election. What does that actually look like as the sitting president? I mean, it's unprecedented. What would that actually look
Hillary
like?
Clinton never accepted
She
him.
conceded
went
on it.
totally-
She conceded
still
on it.
Yeah, she
doesn't
did
accept
concede.
him, and she got
That's an
beaten
important
very
point.
easily.
That's an important point. She conceded on election night. Now, she grumbled about it and said all sorts of things.
Grumbled? She wrote books
fine.
about it.
She wrote books.
Yeah, she wrote books, but she didn't protest the election.
That's fine, but I'm just...
She didn't dispute the results of it.
306 to 223.
I'm
That's a
not
lot.
disputing you for Hillary Clinton.
That's a lot.
Listen, what I'm asking is you'll be the sitting president in the White House. What does that look like? Not
I'll tell
accepting.
you what it looks like.
Are you litigating?
This is actually going to be very fascinating. He refuses to
we
leave.
have a new
Also a shit show
phenomenon.
if he refuses to leave.
It's called mail-in voting.
Oh my
When you
God.
send
Now he's going to
your
use that.
governor-
This is one big fear I'm afraid of that Trump is going to do. He's going to lose the election because he fumbled the pandemic, right? And he's going to lose it by mail-in voting, right? Or the number of mail-in votes is going to be higher significantly this election than past elections for obvious reasons. So when he loses the election, which right now, by today's polls, it is looking like he will lose, he's going to say, this is what I'm worried about, he's going to say that the mail-in ballots were faked, were forged, this is a Democratic scheme, I won the election, I'm not leaving. That's a big fear of mine. I really hope it doesn't happen. Really hope it doesn't happen. To be fair, I also don't kind of want Biden to be president because in the long term it hurts progressives. But I think him staying in office and him pretending and disputing the election is far more damaging than Biden just peacefully taking office. Yeah, this might be an interesting November, guys. This might be an interesting November.
I've been here since the
It's
Civil
new
War.
in terms of the
America's been-
kind of millions and millions of ballots. They've never.
It'll
done
be
anything like
bigger this year because of the pandemic.
Bigger?
Right.
Not bigger, massively bigger.
Yeah, because of the
So
pandemic.
they're
Okay.
going to send tens of millions of ballots to California.
By the way,
all over
he
place.
votes
Who's
by
gonna-
mail. Keep that in
I have a
mind.
friend
Trump
who's in
votes by
Westchester,
mail.
They send applications, not that.
His son passed away. He had a beautiful, wonderful son, young man, passed away 7 years ago. He called me. He said, "I just got a ballot
Probably an
for my
application.
son Robert.
Probably
He died 7 years ago. Somebody got a ballot for a dog.
He's
Somebody
taking
got a
these
ballot
one-off
for something
cases.
else. You got millions of ballots going. Nobody even knows where they're going. You look at some of the corruption having to do with universal mail-in voting, absentee
Dude,
voting.
he
is
does
okay.
it.
You have to apply. You have to go
Trump,
to a
you do
vote.
it.
have to apply.
You vote by mail.
Look,
Look,
they're
let's do
sending
concrete.
out-
Let's do concrete.
Jonathan, they're sending out
Applications.
governors.
I love how every time a scandal comes out of like, oh, this person was they kind of, like not rigged, but like they schemed the system, they voted twice or whatever, they voted a couple times. It is like 99% of the time like a Republican. And they're the ones that are protesting this the most. Oh, it happens all the time. Yeah, because you guys do it all the time.
Of ballots.
No, they're not.
There
It's
is-
applications. You can get them
There
off the
is
internet.
no way you can go through a mail-in vote without massive cheating.
I honestly don't understand this topic with
Go
you.
ahead.
The Republican Party has an extremely well-funded vote-by-mail program. Your campaign puts out emails
Yep.
telling people to vote by mail. Correct. Your daughter-in-law, Lara Trump, she did robocalls in California saying it's safe and secure, mail-in voting.
Let me tell you.
The Republican
we have
won.
no choice.
That was an all-mail-in race.
Let me tell you. You ready?
Yeah.
We have no choice because right now we have many court cases that we're waiting. We have one filed in Western Pennsylvania. We have many court cases. Where
If this guy wins, he's going to praise mail-in voting. If he loses, he's going to trash mail-in voting and pretend he won.
we're trying to end it. We went through World War I. You went to the polls, you voted. We went through.
Yeah, but that was a pandemic. That wasn't no pandemic.
Had mail-in voting since the Civil War.
There was no chance of getting shot when you were going to vote. Well, maybe if you were in different parts of the country, there might have been a risk of getting shot if you're going to vote. But if you go vote now, you might get infected and die.
Absolutely.
This election could
What's
be
wrong with that?
decided 2 months later.
It won't be 2 months, but what's wrong with the proper
It could
mailing
be
count?
decided many months later.
Have you discussed
You know
with-
why?
That's perfectly fine.
Because lots of things will happen during
If the
that
results are
period.
delayed, that's fine.
Especially when you have tight margins. Lots of things can happen. There's never been anything like this when you try. Now, of course, right now we have to live with it, but we're challenging it in many courts.
You're
as
gonna
you know,
litigate.
all over the country.
Mr. President, the other day a reporter asked you about Ghislaine Maxwell. You said, quote, "I just wish her well, frankly. I've met her numerous
Wait,
times." over the years."
wait. We're talking about Melaine what's her name? Melaine Gaswell? Epstein's woman? That's what we went to? Really? And him wishing her well. Oh, I hope you have a long life. To be fair, I think it's kind of funny when he wishes her well. And he's done it numerous times right now, so it's a little weird. It's really weird. Like, the conspiracy theories with the Epstein are fascinating. And it's like a great TV show / novel / movie, man, because it's kind of like if I believe the conspiracy theory, that would be it. That Epstein was murdered by Hillary Clinton. Like all that shit I just love. I love this Epstein drama. I'll be honest. It sucks for all the victims. Whatever. I really sucks for the victims, but this drama and the conspiracy theories coming out with Epstein and all these world leaders, these powerful individuals, I just mwah. And the memes coming out are amazing.
Especially since I lived in Palm Beach, but I wish her well, whatever it is. Mr. President, Ghislaine Maxwell has been arrested on allegations of child sex trafficking.
That is true. He's also, yeah, that's a good point. He's wishing goodwill. He's wishing best wishes for a pedophile.
Epstein.
Was either killed or committed suicide.
He's playing up the conspiracy theories. I love
I wish you well. I'd wish a lot of people well. Good luck. Let them prove somebody was guilty. I mean, do you know that?
Oh, so you're saying you hope she doesn't die in jail? Is that what you mean by?
Her boyfriend died in jail, and people are still trying to figure out how did it happen? Was it suicide? Was he killed? And I
This
do wish you well.
is
I'm not looking for anything
amazing.
bad for her. I'm not looking bad for.
Now I know
anybody.
people were talking
And they
about
took
this
that
on
Alleged
Twitter.
child sex
It's a
trafficking.
big deal, but all it is her boyfriend died. He died in jail. Was he killed? Was it suicide? I do. I wish her well.
You know what I do love and hate about this at the same time? It's like they question Epstein dying in jail. Oh, he's murdered, right? But they don't question all the people who are in police custody, the black people who die in police custody. They're always like, oh, he had it coming. It's a clear-cut case. They definitely deserve to die. They did it themselves. But it's Epstein. It's like, well, maybe he was killed. It's like, maybe it's a ploy. It's like, come on, really? This is the case you're hanging John? Which, again, to be fair, I think is hilarious. And this is just a weird situation to comment on because it's a pretty serious case. There's a lot of victims, but at the same time, the conspiracy theories and memes coming out of this Epstein situation I love.
Let's move to Portland. I'm sure you've seen.
Oh my God, the federal
disturbing
troops.
footage of people
As soon as the
with
federal
fatigues,
troops
speaking
left,
to a Navy veteran.
the rioting went down. All of a sudden, the protests went down.
Video.
For
Pepper spraying
59
him.
days, these people were
Oh my
anarchists
God.
and agitators
No.
and some protesters.
There was a bunch of violence going on in the first couple days, in the first weeks, I would say.
Up our federal buildings and our federal courthouse.
Yeah, good,
We told
good.
the police
Keep beating up
to
the federal
stop
buildings.
it. You make sure, and the police wouldn't do it. Not the police.
You're right.
If nothing changed, you know how we gotta stop these protesters from burning down federal buildings. Good. I like that premise. Now listen. Now follow my train of thought here. Why don't you do something about it besides sending in the military? Why don't you actually take credible political policy decisions, make those changes, and maybe, just maybe, the people are gonna go home. Because then they're going to see changes made. Why do you think they're burning down the federal buildings and courthouses? It's because no change has happened. It's been decades after decades of inaction when violence is acted by the police onto civilians. And nothing has been changed. So maybe, just maybe, if you listen to the protesters who are burning down the buildings and at least implemented some of their policies, I'm not saying all of them, maybe, you know, depending what politician you are, at least addressing some concerns just might fix some of the rioting. That might be a better way of handling it than just sending in federal police forces and violently cracking down. That literally just exacerbates, whatever, you know, the word, the situation, makes it more violent, and then he can use that as an excuse to his followers. Oh, look, these people are crazy. Even the police forces are the ones causing all this. It's ridiculous.
Own Justice Department and Homeland Security Inspectors Generals.
Excuse me.
Your Inspector Generals are investigating
You're
unconstitutional.
trying now to blame law enforcement instead of anarchists.
Of course, yes.
I'm not.
It's
Yep.
Antifa
No.
and
No.
anarchists that are
It's
causing
the
problem,
police.
not law enforcement. Our law enforcement, if we didn't have people at our courthouse, and they're strong, tough people, and they don't want, they try and be very good, believe me. But if we didn't have people there, you would have your federal courthouse, $600 million building. You would have that thing burned to the
Good.
ground.
I'm asking you about.
This is why you gotta enact political changes so it doesn't burn down, but not send in military forces to quell down the protesters, which only, again, exacerbates the protest.
This is from Rand Paul. Quote, "We cannot give up liberty for security. Local law enforcement can and should be handling these situations in our cities.
Yeah,
but
local
there is
police
no
forces
place
should be
for
handling
federal
it.
troops or unidentified federal agents rounding people up at will. What is your response to Senator
In
Paul?
unmarked vans and unmarked uniforms.
They're securing a courthouse.
They're Border Patrol.
They're Homeland Security.
Elite units.
Border. Hopefully they have
Camo,
ice in there. Hopefully
gas
they have
masks.
ice. Now, do you know why they're unmarked? Because
Why?
these terrorists, these
What?
Antifa people, these people.
You're a
that are
federal
unmarked-
agent. Every federal agent should be marked. This is fascism. This is straight up fascism, what he's arguing for. Oh, they're unmarked for a reason. The secret police here is secret for a reason, so they don't get persecuted. Come on, dude.
And agitators, when they see the name on a uniform of a
Yeah, they
person,
report him for
a law
violence.
enforcement person, they find out where that person lives, and then they go and they scare the hell out of the person's family.
Good, if they're being violent, of course, that's what should
For
happen.
that reason, it's just common sense. There's nothing secret about this, and you know it. You see it. What's going on right now? We have Chad Wolf. They have people. He's doing a fantastic job.
Fuck is
He's the
Chad
acting
Wolf?
head. He's doing a fantastic job. Chad Wolf has pickets out, very dangerous-looking people outside of his house.
Dangerous-looking
He's gonna be
people
just
is the
fine. He's
federal
tough and he's
troops.
got people. But if you have the names on all of these uniforms, you'll have these maniacs in front of their houses scaring their family and their wives and or husbands, whatever it may be.
Oh my
I
God,
think
this
it's
is a
very
terrible
good reason
argument.
not to have your name.
No,
Why should you have
no.
identification?
Because they're federal
My name is
troops.
Bill Smith and
This literally, honestly, if a bunch of like racist alt-righters wanted to show up in a minivan dressed in a military uniform and wearing gas masks with unmarked shit, they could arrest anybody, quote unquote anybody, literally kidnap anybody, and then kill them. Literally, that could happen, and they wouldn't be able to trace it. Oh, they got in an unmarked van. They were abducted by federal troops, right? That could literally happen. This is such a bad political policy. I don't know how Republicans, who are always pointing out the case that, oh, Bernie Sanders is a communist fascist, which again, totally analogical terms. You can't, those are not the same thing, okay? So if you're a Republican, please stop saying that. You're stupid. But those are the ones saying, oh my God, fascism, they're making us wear masks. But what about having federal troops arrest protesters? How is that? That's fine. They got to keep law and order. They got to protect the citizens. But what about wearing a mask? Nope, fascism. But federal troops arresting people? That's liberty. That's patriotism right there. Good old American patriotism. Oh, yeah.
Here's where I live, and I'm a member of.
The really serious concern is
No,
the
that's
reports.
not
Not
that's
about
a
that.
serious
The serious
concern.
concern is the reports of people being rounded up and not being told why they're being detained.
Yeah.
That's what's being investigated
Why?
by Mr. President. The
Why they're
inspectors
being
generals.
detained?
The inspectors
You know
generals.
why? You know why they're being detained? Well, yeah.
There's an investigation. Do you support that investigation?
Well, I haven't seen the result yet.
But you
Let me see
support the
result.
initiative of it?
No, I think that actually
You don't?
I think Antifa should be investigated, not the law
God.
enforcement.
No.
They're
What?
Investigated.
They shouldn't be investigating.
Have you been watching television?
I have.
Have you been seeing the violence? And
Sure.
Now, if you watch NBC News, like I watch NBC fake news, I'm watching it. Lester Holt, real beauty, and I'm watching.
He,
this
Lester Holt
NBC
is a real
News
beauty.
sham.
Give him that much.
And you have a mayor named Wheeler, and he's standing out there and he's being accosted by the people. You know that. I mean, it's horrible what they're doing.
Yeah, because he's not taking any political action to change the the state of policing in his state. If he actually took steps to change policing in the states and change active policy in that state, the protesters would go back home and they wouldn't burn down any more buildings. But because nothing is being changed, they're going to keep protesting. They're going to keep burning down buildings and vandalizing buildings. The solution to that isn't bringing in more troops. Ah!
He thought he'd go out, he'd be a. What they were doing and saying and everything else to him, I happened to watch it on a different station. He had to get out. He had 5 security
saw it.
guards. He got out with his life. Okay.
Mr. President,
You
Got
watch-
out with his life.
If you watch NBC News.
By the way, Antifa does not kill, okay? This is the one thing that Republicans always say. Antifa's very violent. They're a terrorist organization. They're the worst thing that could happen in this country. Antifa and communists, let's say, well, just broad term communists, even though they're two separate things, they don't kill people. They burn shit. They destroy buildings. They vandalize buildings. They destroy property. They do fight back against, like, alt-righters and Nazis. And they do tend to be violent in that. And, you know, the way they do it is not the best way to handle those people unless they're being very violent. They do agitate sometimes, which I don't agree with. Different specificity. I can answer that if people ask me that question. But for the most part, far lefters, when they riot and become politically violent, they usually don't kill, but they do burn property down. Now, when they do come to power, you know, let's take the case of, you know, Mao or Stalin, they can be really fucking bloody. But it's not a must. Now, to be fair, I don't have many examples to prove the exact opposite to that, because most of those regimes become totalitarian, even though the initial phases are like, oh yeah, this is communism, this is all for the people, and then boom, I'm in charge. This is totalitarianism, pretty much borderline fascism. So, that's the one thing I would... this is just a tangent at this point. This is just an unimportant tangent. Anyways, when it comes to protesters, low-level people, they usually burn shit, destroy buildings, whatever. They usually don't kill. The alt-right, though, that's the first thing they go for, is they kill.
They make him like he's standing there bravely fighting with the people in a positive sense, that everything is wonderful. No, he went out there. He's lucky he got away with his life because they would have killed him. He had
They would not
5
kill him.
guards, but NBC News showed it like he's standing with the people for justice. Look, those people, take a look at what they've done to the courthouse. Take a look at what
Fuck the
they've done to
courthouse. Make some
streets.
policy
Take a look at the
changes.
violence.
it's
This
getting
is-
worse since they've gone in. It's
No,
getting
actually,
worse.
it's getting better.
No,
We're
it's
very
not.
good.
No. It is
We're
getting worse since the
and
troops
now
went
a
in.
10-year
It is
rule.
way worse.
You try and knock
More
down our
businesses
courthouse.
damaged, more
You
violence.
touch our
It is way
courthouse,
worse.
You go to jail for 10 years.
Turning to the rest of the country, we haven't seen protests like this since the 60s. I
Yeah.
mean, we're seeing...
These are Democrats.
Well, just if I can finish my question.
Democrat-
If I can finish my
Oh,
And
question.
they're doing it for political reasons.
You said you've done so much for African Americans.
I have.
But there are Americans...
Criminal justice
Yeah, I understand.
reform,
Okay, just that one criminal justice reform, which, surprisingly, Kim Kardashian and Kanye West pushed you on, which blows my mind. Kim Kardashian has done more for African Americans during your presidency than Trump did, to a certain degree. She influenced him to actually do a decision. You know, obviously Kim Kardashian can't pardon people and change policy, but her and Kanye did actually achieve positive change. So I'll give him that much.
There are Americans out in the streets asking for change. Mr. President, have you ever met with a Black Lives Matter activist to hear them out, hear their arguments?
Well, Black Lives Matter started off, to me, very badly because it was...
Did you ever meet with one?
Pigs in a blanket, burn them like bacon. That was the first time I ever heard of that was 3 or 4 years ago.
Right.
Pigs, meaning policemen, pigs is what they're referring to, in a blanket, fry them like bacon. I thought it was, so I got off to a bad start. I got off to a very bad
That isn't, to be fair, that isn't the best messaging for trying to achieve change. Again, when you're in the heat of the moment, you know, I love calling cops pigs, whatever. But when it comes to bringing on political change, that's not the best way of going about it. Unless your political change is violent, which, you know, some people do want to do, but you're really not going to do it. Especially with this mass surveillance situation going on in America. Violent political change is, in the 21st century and moving forward, is going to be very hard to do. I'll be very surprised if any successful revolutions happen in industrialized countries. Like China, Russia, whatever, Europe, America. I'll be very surprised because the surveillance going on in those countries is incredible. It is way too much, you know, too much for comfort, but it's great for holding on to power. And as a result of that surveillance, we're probably not going to see any drastic and violent political change, which to a certain degree is good, but, you know, in the long run, is possibly damaging to borderline despotic / dystopian.
Would you meet with a Black Lives Matter activist?
I would, but I think right now,
would he?
Why
when they paint the sign, nobody's asked for a meeting, right? I've never been, nobody.
That would be interesting if he got a meeting with Black Lives Matter. I would love to watch that meeting, like an interview like this or something.
They had the best employment numbers they've ever had. They had the best job numbers they've ever had. They were making more money than they ever made. We were all set until we got hit by China with the virus. Jonathan, we were becoming a very unified country.
Do you believe
because of success?
I understand. Do you believe, though, Mr. President, that many police treat black people differently from white people?
They do.
I hope not. Certainly
A lot of them do. I've heard stories of my friend's parents who was a cop in the 70s,
I'm talking
which
about,
was,
what does this
and the stories that he did to black people were
I
awful.
hope the answer to that question is no. Do I?
And that's just one example.
Really
And again,
answer that
you know,
question accurately?
But what
Does
about not
anybody
hope?
really know?
it's kind of a bullshit reason. And
What's
statistics are more important than you know, one-off story here. But you know, I've heard accounts on this.
I have seen where there is a difference, and I don't want there to be a difference. I don't like that there would be a difference. But with that being said,
Why do you think black men are
police
2.5
have
times?
killed white people
I know, but why do you think black
in a
men
larger number,
in quantity?
police have killed white people.
But why do you think black men are 2.5 times more likely to be killed by police than white men?
That I don't know, but
Why? Why do you
I
think
don't
that?
like
What do
it.
you think? Why do you
You
think?
must have thought about
Why?
it.
I
Why do you
don't
think?
know why, but I don't.
Have you
like
thought about it? What's your
I
first
do
reasoning,
know
Trump?
Does it speak to
that
something?
Mr. President, what is your first
many
reasoning
white
for that?
people also.
But proportion.
Yeah, of course you do.
What does it
Proportionally,
speak
yeah.
It
He's
speaks
beating me to the punch, this
to
interview. I
something-
like
if
this
that's the
guy.
number, you're telling
is the
me a
number.
Okay, if that's the number, it speaks to something that to me is unacceptable.
And what do you do about it then?
Well, I think we've already
Great.
done a lot of
No, you haven't done anything. You literally have not done anything.
understand you're
If you did, then the protesters would go
I'm
home.
not suggesting you haven't done a
I've
lot
done a thing
economically.
called criminal justice
I get it.
reform.
I'm just saying what
that your
changes.
friend President Obama couldn't
It's
get
not my
done.
friend.
He
I'm
tried,
asking about that
he
statistic.
tried, but he couldn't get it
I'm
done.
not-
I got criminal
I get
justice.
it. I get it.
I got opportunity zones. I took care of the historically black. You know, if you look at what I've done for colleges, for black colleges and universities, I got them funding. Obama never did it. I did more for the black community than anybody, with the possible exception of Abraham Lincoln, whether you like it or not. People say, "Oh, that's
You really
interesting."
you believe you did more than Lyndon Johnson, who passed the Civil
I
Rights
think I
Act?
did, yeah.
How?
Because
What?
I got criminal justice reform done. I got prison reform.
Lyndon Johnson.
I've done things.
Prison reform. Again, we got to thank
Civil
Kim
Rights
Kardashian for
How
that
has it
one.
worked out? If you take a look at what Lyndon Johnson did.
You think the Civil Rights Act was a
How has it
mistake?
worked out? Because frankly, it took a long time But for African Americans,
But you think that was a mistake?
administration, Jonathan, under my administration, African Americans were doing better than they had ever done in the
That's
history
not
of
the
this
point he's
country.
trying to make.
So I did a lot. Job numbers, all of the money. They had money. They were getting great. Their percentage was up. Their housing ownership was up. They did better than they've ever done
I just don't
until
know
we
how
got
you can-
hit. And now, you know what we're doing? I'm building it up again. We're going to have it. Next year will be a great year, unless it's screwed up by somebody that doesn't know what he's doing, which could happen, but I don't think it will.
John Lewis is lying in state in the U.S. Capitol. How do you think history will remember John Lewis?
I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know.
As a civil
I don't
rights
know
hero?
John Lewis. He chose not to come to my inauguration.
Why is he making this about him? Oh my God, dude. John Lewis is bigger than Trump, okay? He walked with Martin Luther King. He protested for civil rights with Martin Luther King. He actually achieved some credible change by getting beat up by the police. Keep that in mind, by the police. But he actually achieved some change. And Trump is making it about him. This is where Trump is just bad with politics. If you just took a regular answer, oh, John Lewis is great. If you just bullshitted this answer, let's say he even lied, completely lied. Let's say he hates John Lewis, which I'm sure he doesn't. Is not the biggest fan of him, because again he brought up he didn't come to my inauguration. But let's just say he despised John Lewis. The wise political move here would be to say John Lewis, a great American hero. Me and him did not go, did not agree politically, but what he did for civil rights was fantastic. Next question. That should have been his answer, and the reporter probably wouldn't have questioned him too much on it. But he comes up with like this weird tangent of like, it didn't come to my inauguration. It's like, really? Come on, man.
He chose. I never met John Lewis, actually. I don't believe.
Do you find him impressive?
I can't say one way or the other. I find a lot of
Just
people impressive.
just say
I find
yes.
many
Yeah, I
people
do.
not impressive,
That's it.
but no, but I didn't go.
Do you find his story impressive?
He didn't come to my inauguration. He didn't come to my.
He's so
State of
fucking
the Union
narcissistic,
speeches.
dude.
And that's
I gotta
okay,
stop
that's
swearing,
right.
by the way. I gotta cut
And
down on the
again,
F-bombs.
Nobody has done more
Right.
for
But back to-
black Americans than I have.
I understand.
John Lewis has done more for black Americans than you have. Oh my
He
God.
should have come. I think he made a big mistake. I think he
But
should have
taking
come.
your relationship with him out of it, do you find his story impressive? What he's done for this
He
country?
was a person that devoted a lot of energy and a lot of heart to civil rights, but there were many others
But
also.
okay.
There's a petition to rename the Edmund Pettus Bridge in Selma, Alabama, as the John Lewis Bridge.
Oh, they should.
Would you support that idea?
I would have no objection to it.
Oh,
I'd
that's
like to
good.
do it.
That's
Yeah,
good.
it's
That's a good
good.
political
Yeah.
answer. That's a good political answer.
Mr. President, you've been so generous with your time, and we really appreciate it.
All right.
It's a great honor.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
To be fair, not many surprises. Trump was being an idiot like he always has been. The only good thing he did say, good thing, strong word, good thing, is the point when he was talking about Russia. He's like, hey, we do, the world is a scary place. Countries do what they gotta do. That's the only thing he made. Everything else he was talking about was true fake news. But let's see how this interview walks awkwardly ends. Let's watch this.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thomas Jefferson. Carter. All right. Alrighty. That was a 37-minute video. 38-minute video, let's say. And I am an hour and 26 minutes in.